Okay, welcome. I'm Rachel Ruttenberg. I'm the Deputy Chief of Staff in the Office of the President. And I am here today filling in for Bennett Elam, who is in the Department of Transportation and Highways and was under the weather today. So he couldn't share and feature the amazing work he's been doing on the Fair Transit program. But I'm very happy to be here in his stead. So thank you for joining us for the second installment in the Offices Under the President Innovation Spotlight series, which highlights Cook County programs addressing key policy challenges for the county and its residents. Today we're talking about Fair Transit South Cook, which is an innovative 3-year pilot program that launched in January of 2021 in partnership with Metra and Pace Suburban Bus. The idea for the pilot emerged from the South Cook County Mobility Study, which was released by DOTH in 2018, which showed that residents on Chicago's South Side and South Suburbs spend more time and money commuting than those in any other area in the county. Fair Transit South Cook helps ease the burdens by cutting the fares on the Metra Electric and Rock Island lines by about 50%. And expand service on a key PACE route, which is Route 352 Halstead. Fair Transit was planned before the COVID pandemic, but COVID made it extra important because essential workers needed reliable and affordable transportation to get to work. So today we'll hear from the Department of Transportation and Highways in Cook County, and as well as 3 partners on the work that they have all done related to the Fair Transit South Cook program. So first off, we have Bennett Haller, the Transit Manager for the Department of Transportation and Highways, who will give us a brief overview of the program. Second, we have Andrea Reed, Executive Director at Greater Roseland Chamber of Commerce. She'll talk about benefits to residents and businesses of the communities along those 2 train lines. Third, David Rubino, a Senior Division Director at Metra, will talk about how Fair Transit South Cook fits into the other Metra strategies for pandemic recovery. And lastly, Melinda Metzger, Executive Director at Pace Suburban Bus, will discuss how Fair Transit fits into Pace's strategic vision plan for their agency. So we'll wrap up today's discussion with a Q&A like we did last time from the audience. And welcome to our panelists, and thank you for your time this morning. Thanks for joining us. So, Bennett, could you start us off by giving us a brief overview of the program?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Good morning, Madam President. I hope you are well today. Good morning, Sis. Glad you're in attendance as well, and thank you for all the attendees. Some of my former bosses, Arnold and Eileen, are also here, so I should give a shout out to them as well. So, an overview of the program. There really were 3 crucial elements in the program. One was to reduce fares, one was to expand service, and a third element, which we are continuing to work on, is to more seamlessly integrate fares across all the different transit systems. So the first part, reducing fares. So the county made a $32 million commitment starting in 2021 to both subsidize Metra fares on the Rock Island and the Metro Electric lines, as well as to provide enhanced service on the Pace Route 352 bus, which runs between the 95th Street Red Line station on the Dan Ryan Expressway, goes south on Halstead Street through the Harvey Transportation Center, and then terminates at the Pace Chicago Heights Terminal at 16th Street and Vincennes in Chicago Heights. So starting with the reduced fare, essentially the way that works is anytime you would go into a Metra app or purchase a ticket from a ticket agent and told them which line you were taking, the Rock Island or the Metro Electric, you would automatically get the reduced fare, which is about a 50% discount over the standard fare. And that continues until the end of this year, 2023. On 352, the key enhancement there was extending the service hours for the 352 route to run later at night for greater convenience for people using that route, which again, it provides a very important connection from southern reaches of Cook County all the way to the end of the 95th Street Red Line, as it currently ends, of course, pending the Red Line extension down to 130th Street, which we are all eagerly anticipating at this point. The third element was this idea of promoting seamless fare integration, something we are continuing to work on, particularly behind the scenes, talking to the service boards, trying to figure out a mechanism, both short-term and long-term, whereby it will simplify the process, and particularly that transfers between CTA and Metro or PACE and Metro will be discounted to some extent as you're making a continuous trip. We really want that to be available to all users, whether you're someone paying for a single fare on a single day or whether you're a heavy user. We want to make sure that those benefits go to all users, and particularly being cognizant for the needs of the unbanked. I'm done talking. Thank you.
Thanks. Andrea, can you tell us about the benefits to the residents and the businesses of the communities along the two lines, and how this program fits within your broader advocacy work, which I know you do quite a bit of?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So, when I was asked by Alderman Bill, to start the Greater Rosen Chamber, it was back in April of 2009. One of my very first interests was the extension of the Red Line. It was years later, after attending a workshop hosted by the Metropolitan Planning Council, when I was introduced to a study they conducted entitled Cost of Segregation. This study was very compelling and impacted my interest in the importance of transportation, especially in areas of our city where people have suffered from gross disinvestment, like Roseland. For city planners to have cut off transportation at 95th Street on the south side, I learned it was deliberate and has ultimately impacted the quality of life throughout the entire city. You can't just cut people off from life-sustaining resources. There is a cost, and we feel the impact of this thought process every day. Comparing access to transportation to the north side versus south side, there is a stark variance. We have the red line, blue line, orange line, brown line, etc. There is no such thing as missing a bus on the north side because there is one lined up right behind the other. Comparing to the bus that runs from Audgale, 130th, to 95th Street, I jokingly say the Greyhound can get you to 95th Street faster than the number 34. The cost of segregation study shows us that the jobs were mostly available north of those on the south side and the west sides of our city, where, by the way, higher cases of crime occur in these areas. Individuals having to commute from the south side to the north side to take advantage of job opportunities experience the peril of not having a bus to get them home because bus service cuts off at a certain time, leaving individuals in a predicament of not having adequate transportation to get them to their various homes. I became a member of the Coalition of a Modern Metro Electric, where co-chair Linda Thisted and I and our CMME members worked diligently to bring attention to the Metro as an underutilized asset in our community. The Metro was the answer that would provide rapid transit on the south side until the Red Line Extension project was approved and built. We thank Tony Preckwinkle for being our champion and committing the $30 million to ignite the pilot for the 3 years. Our goal also is for fair integration throughout the city. Transportation is in a major metropolitan city like Chicago should be equitable, affordable, accessible, and seamless. Transportation and having access is a quality of life issue. I call upon the transit agencies and service providers to do all you can to make the improvements necessary to improve the quality of life for all Chicagoans. Thank you.
Thanks, Andre. So David, the Fair Transit program launched at the height of the pandemic, which was actually serendipitous. But fair transit isn't the only thing that Metro is doing in response to the changed travel and what travel looks like post-pandemic. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, thank you. First off, good morning. Glad to be here today. Thank you. Madam President, I have to say thank you for the second time. I'm super proud to be partnered, Metro is super proud to be partnered with Cook County on this initiative. I thanked you on that brutally cold day in January at LaSalle Street Station. It couldn't have been a worse day. I want to thank you again. It's been an honor to be partnered. So yeah, coming out of the pandemic, our goal is to increase ridership while working through our economic and technical constraints. So it's no secret, people have heard a bunch of talk relative to this fiscal cliff that's approaching. So we have to grow our ridership. It's essential that we grow our ridership. We have to appeal to folks. And I can talk about the technical part here in a second, but we're a complicated system. We hear that from our board members, we hear that from our riders. We're a 10-zone system. We're not unlike other commuter rail systems throughout the country or throughout the world, really. The further you travel, the more you pay. South Cook's been amazing for that. What we have to do is figure out how to make our system less complicated so that people aren't turned off to us. We thought we were really doing something when we compressed from 13 zones down to 10. We still have far too many zones, and that we have to work through that. We have to also create a system that's easily understandable and memorable. So we can do that through our fares, through our fare policy, which we're working on. And I expect that even though today is one of our better ridership days, just like Tuesday and Thursday, we expect that work from home is going to continue, and we'll have to figure out how to make ends meet with less folks on the train. So we have to appeal. We have to not rely so much on our morning and afternoon rush, which is still our bread and butter, and we won't turn our back to those folks. But we have to flatten those peaks and make ourselves an option for that discretionary ridership in between. And how we do that is we create a memorable schedule. So if you live near the Hanover Park Station and you know you can get there by the 28 after the hour, there'll be a train for you. Those are the kind of things we have to create, not such large headways is what we have to employ. We have to simplify and make more efficient our onboard collection of fares. Not only does the conductor have to operate the train safely and work the doors, but he also has to audit the train. And part of commuter rail, again, not unlike other commuter rails, we're an open system. We're not like PACE or CTA where you go through a turnstile or a gate, or in the case of a bus driver, you pass the driver after pressing your Ventra car. Doors open on a 6, 7, 8 car set. People get on, people get off. It's up to the conductor to visually inspect and handle those tickets, especially one-ways and 10 rides. So we have to create fares that may expire on time and not have to be handled. Missing fares is missing revenue, and so we have to fix that. Schedules are a big part of this too. This is another initiative of ours. We have to make ourselves more attractive. I touched on it briefly, but we have to just get better at creating an option for folks who want to take that discretionary trip downtown or to another neighborhood. Those are just some of the few of the things we're working on right now. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, David. So Melinda, Fair Transit isn't the only partnership with Cook County that PACE has. So can you tell us a little bit about the other innovative programs we've worked on together?
Sure, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Melinda Metzger. First, I want to thank President Preckwinkle and Cook County for your investment in public transportation and for your support. Bennett did an excellent job of explaining what we're doing on the bus side, but the important thing to me is what Fair Transit South Cook did was jumpstart other programs we have in the South region, south part of Cook County. So what did we do? First of all, we had better service on Halsted Street. What did that lead to? We were looking at our transit center in Harvey. We have a transit center about 2 blocks away from the metro station. And we started looking at it. We got the state of Illinois to give us $8 million to rebuild, do a midlife rebuild of that facility. And as we were looking at it, we were thinking, well, why don't we make this a multimodal facility? So we approached Metro, we approached the city of Harvey and said, we'd like to move our facility next to your facility. And Metro was very enthused about it, so was the city of Harvey, and then we got IDOT to buy into this whole thing, because we had to swap land, we had to swap street access to the facility. Why is that so important? Because now we have a RAISE grant to really improve the whole economic region in the city of Harvey, and to bring our Halsted Street service into a brand new multimodal facility, which leads to some of the other things we're doing with Cook County. So we're going to be adding a Pulse Rapid Transit PACE service from Halsted Street all the way up to 95th Street Station. Cook County provided us funding for the NEPA study. We're also doing the same thing on 95th Street, from the 95th Street Station all the way out west to Moraine Valley College. Again, we have money from the county for a NEPA study on that. We're doing some other really exciting things also in Harvey. Thanks to a grant that we got from Cook County, and we're working on it later on this summer, you will see third shift service both in Harvey as well as over by O'Hare. So you can get off one of our routes, which are 24-hour-a-day routes down to Harvey. You can take it to the communities for third shift workers who need to get off a route or get off Metro and go home or get to work for third shift. And by the way, today is Third Shift Appreciation Day, so it's a good time to be announcing that. So we're really excited. Later in the summer, we will be starting the service. It will also take people who are going to third shift work out by O'Hare from the Blue Line. So we're in a cooperative agreement with both Metro and with CTA, and we're going to get people to those third shifts if they come off any mode, ourselves, Metro, or CTA. So that's about what I wanted to talk about today on what we're partnering with Cook County. But it's really exciting things that we're doing. And if we can partner and make the economics easier for the riders and improve our service as well as improve the areas we're operating in, it's a great thing. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Melinda. So it's been wonderful to hear the description of how this, how this all has worked, what it's, other projects have emerged from the innovation that the Fair Transit Program laid out. But Bennett, if you want to just tell us a little bit about the specific impact of the Fair Transit Program at this point, with a couple minutes left.
Sure. So for one, when we had planned for this pilot, this was actually before the pandemic, but nonetheless, we decided to move ahead in January of 2021. As David already said, a super cold day, a lot of chance for people to model heavy winter gear. I thought SIS did a particularly good job, frankly. So the idea was before the pandemic that we would do this and it would grow riders significantly over the current numbers. So of course, we still are looking at that particular metric. How much did ridership recover during the pandemic, and did ridership on these two lines recover faster than other metro lines? And the answer to that generally is yes. UP North Line also had some pretty dramatic recovery as well, but the ME and RI, Metro Electric and Rock Island, were 2 and 3 in their rate of recovery generally. We also know that there was significant growth in use of stations in lower income neighborhoods, like that was the highest growth. Not surprisingly as well, though, Hyde Park had a huge growth in ridership, University of Chicago students, et cetera, which was kind of anticipated. But we also know there were certain subsidiary advantages, one being that because the fare was lower, people were no longer driving a little farther to get to that next fare zone, as David talked about, like they were just going to the nearest station. So that means they were driving less, which is a wondrous thing. We also know that it gave people more income because through various surveys, we have a federal grant to try to assess and survey people. We know that people were appreciative of the fact they were now spending less on Metro and able to spend money in other ways, that they were driving less, and again, that growth was highest at stations in lower income neighborhoods. Also, the 352 route, the improvements that we had initially subsidized to the pilot were made permanent. So it's gone from pilot to permanence. And as David has said, Metra is also working on their schedule, adding trains. So service on the Rock Island line is actually better now than it ever has been, particularly off-peak. So we do believe that these advantages will continue, and we are very interested in what we do at the end of this year and beyond in terms of continued support for transit in our region.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful news. So now we're going to open up for a couple of questions. Yes.
I have
Eric.
one here. All right, Quince.
Hey, David, as a card-carrying member of Metra and rider of Metra, what new initiatives does Metra have in store for the coming year?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Super pleased, and I wrote some of these out. You're going to be excited. So, new fare policy, we talked about that, and that's a big deal. So we're going to be presenting in front of our board here relatively soon so that we can get moving on a new fare policy. So not only compressing zones, but coming up with innovative fares that are equitable and make sense for revenue. That's a big deal for us. We're coming out, we're in the process of rolling out metrotracker.com. That's kind of a big deal for us because it's a robust train tracking app. Right now, unfortunately, we're not rolled out everywhere, but I'm sorry, you had your hand up. Unfortunately, we're not rolled out in all places, but we're mostly rolled out on 5 lines, and we're above 50% on the others. So that's a really great trip tool that we're looking forward to completing by the end of the year. That will also partner with what we call TroyNet signs. If you've ridden our service, you've been at one of our outlying stations, we have these single scroll LEDs that are somewhat hard to read. Now we're going to go to full panel monitors. It'll give you next train, it'll give you predictions, it'll tie in with the PA announcements, so accessibility is a big deal for that too. New TVMs are coming, so how we sell tickets is going to be different too. That's the weirdness of Metro, right? We have 238 outlying stations, but we only have ticket agents at 52 of them. So this puts another burden on the conductor. So just so we talked about being more efficient with our fares. So those will begin to roll out. Phase 1 should be complete by the end of the year, maybe the end of the summer. New cars are on order. These are the 2-level cars that provide almost level boarding, not that 17-inch step that folks are so used to, and that can be difficult to jump. The first one will arrive next year, and that will be kind of the one we use for the inspection and approval to move on from that point. Also, our onboard survey continues. While working with our marketing partner, LKH&S, we're grabbing that data on a regular poll and handing off to our schedulers, young, really smart folks who are putting together really great repeatable schedules like Bennett talked about, because those work really nicely on the Rock Island, Metro Electric, the UP North, and the BNSF right now. All right, we're partnering with Canadian Urban Transit Association so that we can take their module, the Train the Trainer module for customer service. So we're going to be better than we've ever been. This is a robust, repeated service that every frontline employee is going to go through. It's customized for us. All the videos are customized, the modules are customized, it's all certified. We'll begin doing that probably in about a month. Everybody will go through this training. We'll be better than ever to receive these new customers. So now, big part. I wrote this all down. Our Metro Electric Community Initiative. So we plan on renovating 13 stations along the Metro Electric line. I can get into the details of those. So work is continuing at 147th Street. I know we closed the station during the work right there at Harvey. That's because we're adding an elevator to make accessibility much easier. The station had to be closed for this rehab. We're also working on Homewood, which is under renovation now on our side, which is the Harwood Avenue side. The Park side was Amtrak's. That was done last year, 2-year project. It still remains open. It still remains accessible. But unfortunately, our side, the Harwood side, is closed. But we'll also then move to 95th, 79th, 87th, 103rd, and Millennium South Water entrance. If you've been there, you know it needs to be refreshed. Those are all initiatives for the upcoming year. I don't want to miss anything here.
Auburn Park, Station 79th and Low.
Yeah, that's already in the process.
We're taking bids now for which stations we should be refreshing.
So a lot of these rebuilds are adding elevators, and that improves accessibility. That's big to us and our accessibility project manager. The other major station projects that are being planned for 2024 include 59th, 60th University of Chicago stop, 111th Street Pullman, Van Buren. Believe it or not, I know you've probably all been there and wonder when will this ever get fixed. It's on the docket for 2024. So those are a few of the things that I'm super excited about the initiative on the Metro Electric.
If you add 115 streets,
Understood.
Okay,
I'll absolutely
115.
write it down.
Gotta write that down.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Next question.
All right, questions here? Oh, Mark?
Hi, this is for Andrea. What are some of the ways that employers could take better advantage of Metro services?
Andrea, yeah, use your mic.
I think that if with fares, if they continue with lowering the fares on Metro, I think that that will solve part of the problem. But also, if employers could participate, as well as for those that have to commute long distance to get home, it would be probably helpful if there was some type of shuttle or a service that could connect employees to their connections easier or more timely. Maybe they can adjust their shifts so that they can make those connections before those bus routes end. So that would be the biggest suggestions I would have.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more.
All right, thank you.
Melinda, not to bring the conversation down, but the transit system is facing major shortfalls. Where do you see transit funding headed?
I think you already heard David mention the $732 million shortfall, and all of us are hitting it head on. We know it's out there. On the side of PACE, we are doing a lot of new and innovative services that I'm really excited about. We have to keep moving forward and look to our legislators to find more funding for transit. Transit in the Chicagoland area is getting the least amount of money compared to other urban areas, and we really have got to keep on pushing that. I think the important part is it's not because of mismanagement, it's not because we're not doing our job, but rather it's because the pandemic has hit us hard and our ridership has dropped and our revenue has dropped. So what we're doing at PACE is really some innovative programs. For example, we have a program called Van Go, which is a van that is located at 2 metro stations and at a CTA station, where you can subscribe. When you get off those trains, you can subscribe to it, and we'll give you a code the night before. You can punch the code in the vehicle and take it to work, bring it back to the station. We're expanding our on-demand service, which you call an hour in advance and pick up the vehicle. We're looking at other things that we can do, such as technology upgrades. We have, on our ADA side of the house, we have a Where's My Bus, so you can see the vehicle coming like you would see on an Uber app. And we're also partnered with a company called Transit, which is a mobility as a service app. And why did we do that? Because PACE has a lot of different services. We offer fixed route, paratransit, express bus service. We ride the shoulder on many expressways. We have our ADA service, our Van Go and our Van Pool service. But in order for our customers to access that, you have to look at each one of these services independently. So we've now partnered with Transit, and if you guys don't have the app, get the app, and you can change the app over to the PACE logo because we're partnered with them, and I like seeing our logo on your phones. But in any case, what it does is you start, I want to go from point A to point B, and it will say take Metro to PACE Van Go or take CTA to this location. And it brings all of our services together. We have a lot of services on our own, but it also ties us to CTA and Metro. So all those kind of revisioning of what we do. We're also going to be looking at this year our entire bus network. We've just started this process. We're calling it revision. And we're going to see what works, what doesn't work, what we should be doing more of. Our headways are not good. We need more service out there. That's what we hear, and so we're going to be partnering with all the counties to try and look at this and get more service out there, as well as if the service isn't as effective as it should be, maybe it should be an on-demand, maybe it should be a van pool program. So we're going to look at our whole service area and make some determinations as to what works better for our customers.
All right, well, I want to thank our panel today. This has been a wonderful conversation about transit. We send best wishes for a speedy recovery to Jesse, who would have loved to be here. If you have ideas for this series and you want to see your program or your initiative featured as part of our innovative Spotlight program, please let me know or Rudy know, and we'd be happy to talk with you about what that entails. And thank you again. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much.